glory. We the Ambazonian, pledge our loyalty. Praise to our Savior who granted us our freedom. And never to the hero who brought along we gather. Glory to glory, we rise and never to fall. Here in a nation, flowing with and holy. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation, a joy forevermore. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty in our need, and your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of His nation. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty in our need, and your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of His nation.
Genocide does not necessarily mean the immediate destruction of a nation. It is intended rather to signify a coordinated plan of different actions aiming at the destruction of essential foundations of the life of national groups with the aim of annihilating the groups themselves. That is the description of Raphael Lemkin. Whose work led to the UN Genocide Convention in 1948. Now, the President of the United States of America is quoted as saying, preventing mass atrocities and genocide is a core national security interest and a core moral responsibility of the United States. And this is the quote of Desmond Tutu, the Archbishop, the activist. And he said, if you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. That is the words of an archbishop, of a man of God. If you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. Confronting evil, genocide, and mass atrocity is a matter of choice. We all know that internationally, various phrases have been used, and the most significant was the never again phrase after the Holocaust. But then, in nearly every genocide since the Holocaust, the international community has seen fit to sit back. You can count on basically 3 fingers the number of times the international community has stepped in order to prevent genocide. They refuse to step in due to political interest, of awareness, but mostly the fear of involvement. Except when Vietnam decided to stop the genocide in Cambodia in 1979, and when NATO in 1995 directly intervened in Bosnia. My fellow Ambazonians, I say this in order to make sure that we are clear of the fact that to stop the genocide in Ambazonia, we are the ones to do that. We must mobilize. We must sacrifice. We must do everything in our power, sacrifice anything to prevent the mass destruction in our land, of our people, because there is no white knight riding in to save us. So do not for 1 second allow yourself to be intimidated by those who stand aside, fold their arms, and see your brothers killed, your sisters raped and killed, your grandfathers and grandmoms burned in their beds, your land put under the boots and humiliated. That is why on this day, on this hour, I salute all the Ambazonians who are still stepping up to the plate, who day in, day out are sacrificing their hard-earned money, their time, their effort, so as to make sure that the Ambazonians are not toothless chickens sent to the gas chamber. Revolutionary greetings, my fellow Ambazonians. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you may find yourself today. To our captives in the dungeons of La République du Cameroun, Wuna Place Day. To our forces especially those in the Bui military district, who at this hour are in serious confrontation with La République du Cameroun, who have forces all over the territory protecting our people, una place over there to our refugees, internal and external. We are doing everything in our power to get you home, una place there, and to the nationalists scattered all over the world. Una place them day. My brother, the leader of our revolution, in the dungeons of the Norwegian crimes against humanity backers, who support the atrocities that you try to prevent in Ambazonia, to those who have you in jail and every day create new laws to try to take away your God-given liberties, my brother, your place over there. You told our people to hold the line. This past Saturday, in our monthly Njangi, where the people of Ambazonians gather, where those who refuse to be intimidated, those who carry Ambazonia in their heart, those who have the human spirit, who fear the laws of man and the laws of God, those who live for something beyond their own private goals and dreams, those who come together to support the defense of the Ambazonian people, the Ambazonian institutions, the Ambazonian dream. All of them stood and heeded your call to hold the line. And we will hold the line. My fellow Ambazonians, for the past 1 week, there has been serious, very serious confrontation ongoing in the Bui military district in Donga, in the Donga division. I have seen La République du Cameroun celebrating and showing their spoils of war. They are jubilating in their barracks, at the Etudi Palace, in Norway, in France, that they have dealt a significant blow to the Ambazonian struggle. My fellow Ambazonians, we are at war. We never promised that it was going to be easy. We accepted the fact that our liberation will be dearly bought. that our freedom will not escape the despair of sacrificing those we love. But if this is victory to la République du Cameroun, then my fellow Ambazonians, prepare for the call of whom is upon us. For 1 week, this is a sub-barracks of the Ambazonian Defense Force that la République du Cameroun succeeded using overwhelming force in order to capture. A sub-barracks, a sub-barrack of Abui military district. We issued the call for our forces to make a tactical withdrawal, and they did. That is why you are not seeing 15, 20 dead bodies on the ground. But I want to say this, my fellow Ambazonians, the number of forces that la République du Cameroun threw at these barracks, the number of trips that their helicopters made to evacuate their killed and wounded, those are not things that can come out of my desk. The villagers around the zone will tell you the number of trips that their helicopters made transporting the number of terrorists that were killed. And this is why they are using these images to divert the catastrophe, the Pyrrhic victory that they won last Saturday. After dealing them horrible blows, our forces withdrew tactically. But what they carried out of that barracks, we succeeded in recapturing some of them in an ambush that we later laid on Sunday morning. We lost 2 of our forces, 2 killed in action. But La République's helicopters made about 3, if not 4 trips on that Sunday to the front lines for evacuation. The fighting, my fellow Ambazonians, is ongoing. What I can report to you from the battlefront is that we now know where they are. We have tactically surrounded them. And I'm hoping that by Monday, we would have made tens of widows, if not in their 50s, in their hundreds. There is one image that is indelible at the beginning of this war, where we had about 100 La République du Cameroun coffins lined up with their flags on them. By Wednesday, I expect that the tally of those lying on the ground would have surpassed that image. of those 100 coffins lying on the ground. We have them exactly where we want them. I have been, as the defense chairman of this liberation, I have been one of those that I have never given out tactical advantage of our forces. So when I say this, under these horrid conditions, it is because of the expectation that we have. And to the leader of this liberation in jail, that he called on us to hold the line, and our forces are more than holding the line. La République du Cameroun, I look at this, I laugh, because I know the cry die that is in La République du Cameroun, and I know why these images are being run all over their media to divert from the amount of dead bodies that we put on the ground. My fellow Ambazonians, what you did not find in those images are weapons that could be turned against our people to foster their genocide. Yes, our forces, as they pull back, will not mind leaving their uniform on the ground, will not mind leaving some of these, but they will mind very much leaving behind their weapons. That is why I report to you the battles that have been ongoing at the front line in Ambazonia. A few weeks ago, we buried one of the great soldiers of Ambazonia, an officer and a gentleman. Ayaka the Great was a king. A few days ago, at battle, at battlefield Ma, the forces of Ayaka the Great invaded an occupation outpost and totally wiped out the forces of La République du Cameroun at their forward base at Ma. While La République, those who were able, ran out of the area, our forces were able to capture ammunitions that made what La République got from Donga to be superficial, because the number of La République du Cameroun deaths and those they were unable to evacuate Our forces on those our forces were able to retrieve at least 2 rifles that will now go in to augment the fighting weapons of your liberation fighters. That tells you the cost that La République paid. Not bullets, not uniforms, in bodies. That is how our forces are heeding the call from their leader in jail to hold the line. So our special thanks to the forces of Ayaka the Great under the command of General Kapo, who were able to dismantle a colonial outpost. We also have at the battlefront at the Menzem Junction in Takiga. Now, the Menzem Junction is an area where La République du Cameroun notoriously sets up roadblocks, catch and kill checkpoints, where they are able to target our people, target them for rape, target them for extortion, torture, and sometimes execution on the road. I want to thank the forces M23 and the Nzekwa barracks, who mounted an ambush and cleared out that junction, putting down some of these dogs while the others were able to take off. In Bui, Ndonga, Kutunja, Momo, Tiko, Fako, the Ambazonian liberation forces are on the march. Nothing has affected their psyche, nothing have affected their spirit, nothing has affected their goals. Not their comrades who have been captured at the front lines, not those who have been wounded, not those who have died. Nothing is affecting their spirit. I related a little story on Saturday at the global fundraiser of Ambazonia. A story of a unit situated at a liberated zone in Ambazonia. And that unit contacted one of their coordinators. And do you know what they were saying? Please order our transfer to the front lines. Think about that. This was not last year, 2 years ago, last month. This was last week. After all of these supposed strain on the revolution, you have forces begging to be transferred to the front lines because what they said, where we are, we do not believe that we are putting pressure on La République du Cameroun. They are asking to be transferred where their brothers are confronting them and sacrificing their lives. And I related that story more in line with the idea that the call of the leader of this liberation to hold the line is not a call to mark yourself present, to be satisfied that you are in the struggle, that you are a nationalist. I related the hold the line to be the area of resistance. The area of resistance, where you find the pressure point and you push at that pressure point to the best of your ability. Once you push and push until your force is equal to the resistance that you are facing, that is hold the line. It means that if you have a pocket that is filled with 100 coins and you are comfortable removing 1 coin or 2 or even 5 from that pocket and put in the struggle, you will not feel any significant difference from that pocket. That is not hold the line. It means that you send your hand in that pocket and move until you feel the change in resistance, the weight, until you feel the change in that weight. Then you know that I am holding the line. And that, my fellow Ambazonians, is victory. That is victory. That is hold the line. And so I want to personally thank all those who are holding the line. Look, there is battles. There are battles ongoing. At this particular, as we speak, your forces are moving into position. They are withdrawing strategically, drawing La République du Cameroun into blind alleys where we are just going to wipe them out. That is ongoing. What should be ongoing is our provision, the continuous provision of ammunition so as to protect our people. Look, we just saw the extrajudicial execution of Ambazonians in Momo You have been seeing that. You did not ask yourself, why did that happen in Momo? Not that Momo had been one of those areas where the infestation of enablers and blacklegs had been so widespread that any IED we put on the ground to stop the movement of these people into our villages, they already know. They will avoid that road like for 3 weeks, or you actually see them walk to where the bombs have been implanted and dig them out, because they had eyes and ears everywhere. The first massacres that occurred 2 weeks ago in Momo is because all of these, their eyes and ears have been cleared out of Momo. Now they are walking blind. Now their armored trucks, even their most advanced ones, Momo was the first place where they went down, scattered to pieces. And they entered our villages and started massacring people that they did not inform them that Ambazonian liberation fighters were around. My fellow Ambazonians, we at this particular moment have the responsibility of not abandoning our forces on the front line. They have not abandoned the struggle. They have not been intimidated. They are instead removing chunks out of La République du Cameroun. We have a solemn obligation not to allow the Kwakwas to reoccur in Ambazonia. They have already burned down 1,000 of our villages, burned parents, killed children, massacred our young. We cannot allow that to go on. We must, as an obligation, just as human beings, refuse to stand on the sideline, because neutrality is choosing the side of the genocide. We cannot be neutral. It is not neutrality that have forced ex-service men here in the United States, here in Europe, here in Asia, to move to Ukraine, put on uniforms and fight for one side or the other. Go to Israel and fight. It's not neutrality that makes nationals of different nations to put on uniforms of other nations and sacrifice for that. It is humanity. It is people who feel that no person, no government on this earth have the right to enter into another country and massacre the people. It is an instinctive reaction of anybody's humanity to do something when such evil are on the march. To my fellow Ambazonians, we need every single one of you. Those that are holding the line, step up. Those that have positions and duties concerning the liberation, step up. Get to the front lines as our frontline forces battle this evil. We must do our part. We have coming up La République du Cameroun the organizing an effrontery to democracy called election. While we do not have any problem with this farce occurring in their land, the exportation of that nonsense into Ambazonia is absolutely bad. It's an abomination that we are not going to allow. That is why we are asking and telling and demanding that every Ambazonian be mindful that it is treasonous to participate in this farce. Because participation in the exportation of La République du Cameroun farce of an election into Ambazonia is your tacit act of the genocide and crimes against humanity committed by that government in Ambazonia. Is trying to legitimize the extrajudicial killings, the burning of villages, the massacre of people, the raping of our daughters, our sisters, our mothers, the extortion and banditry in our land. Participation is legitimization. So nobody should fool themselves that this is an exercise of civic duty. It is an abomination that cannot be allowed. I don't know how La République du Cameroun how they in their country stomach this. But don't cross the Mungo with that farce. That is why our people must heed the ghost towns and the lockdowns and avoid putting themselves in positions where they might become a target. Because we know that La République du Cameroun forces during periods like this will try to use our people as human shield to hide behind them. Therefore, it is critical, absolutely critical, that our people heed the calls that are made, the calls for lockdown, the calls for ghost towns, or the calls that are made to make sure that they are safe in their communities, in their homes, in their lives as they go about. The death of a single Ambazonian because of a mistake is one death too many. So heed the call. We have coming up in just under a month's time the day of nationalism, the day where we as Ambazonians stand up and declare at the top of our voices that we are who we are, Ambazonians. Nothing more, nothing less. And we call on our people all around the world and in their homeland to demonstrate that sense of pride, that sense of nationalism, that sense of upholding our destiny. We should shout it, we should celebrate it as loudly as we can, wherever we are. It is a national day of Ambazonia, a day that gives significance to the flag, a day that gives significance to the blood of our fallen heroes, a day that reminds us that next year in Boya. And while we do this, we know that there are some amongst us who use the struggle as a means to an end, as a means to self-enrichment, self-aggrandizement, self-promotion. The worst thing about all that is if it is at the expense of our people. Because while we have no complaint about doing that without any harm to Ambazonia or Ambazonians, doing something like that affects the struggle is a betrayal of the sacrifices of those who fight for our people, of those who have fallen in the line of duty. That is why I have sent a call, and I am calling the coordinators of the Yelum Barracks, the Brigadier General of the Yelum Barracks in Abui Military District, the officers in that district, to solve the issue that has landed on my desk of the targeting of Ambazonians for extortion by criminal gangs. This is under their area of jurisdiction, and I want to receive report that that issue has been solved. I received of a fallen soldier, which is a great betrayal of its in and of itself, and that between 1.5 to 2.5 million was extorted before their release. I have also been informed that these girls were able to identify 4 of them Bororo that kidnapped them. This must be taken as a matter of great urgency by the barracks and all the known perpetrators arrested, the money recovered and returned to the family, and those involved brought to justice. We cannot allow banditry and extortion by criminal gangs to further brutalize an already brutalized people. We are liberation fighters. We fight for Ambazonia, whether La République or bandits. It is our duty to protect our people. On that point, I also want to go to another criminal gang that is operating in Bamenda under the false banner of Ambazonian fighters. This came to the attention of the War Council that this criminal network is operating in Bamenda under this guise of Ambazonian fighters. That is why I want to be absolutely clear. These individuals are not members of the Ambazonian Defense Forces or any recognized arm of our liberation struggle. The intelligence that I receive is that these are escaped convicts and opportunists attempting to exploit our people and tarnish the name of the struggle. They were seen as prisoners in La République du Cameroun in Yaoundé. And while the intelligence gathering is still ongoing, they are already operational in Bamenda. That is why I want to put this on the table while we look for the connection, whether they were released intentionally, because I don't know how people escaped from Kondengi, whether they were released intentionally to carry out these acts to tarnish our liberation. So who are these individuals? The intelligence report confirmed the presence in Bamenda of Angwafo Timothy, Wanchu Terence, and Che Nevi. These three men were involved in the armed robbery of one expert company in Yaoundé in 2019. They were arrested, imprisoned in Yaoundé, and they later indicated that they escaped. At no point in time have these individuals served in any Ambazonian liberation structure. The intelligence indicated that after they fled, they slipped into Bamenda and have been carrying out robberies, extorting civilians and businesses, and threatening those who refuse to pay. Their activities have nothing to do with our fight for freedom. They are criminal acts carried out for personal gains. As I said, this really matters. These criminals are hiding behind our flag to shield their crimes. By doing so, my fellow Ambazonians, they endanger civilians and businesses in Bamenda, tarnish the image of the Ambazonian liberation movement in the eyes of our people and the international community, create confusion, making it harder for our communities to distinguish between legitimate liberation fighters and common criminals. That is why the response of the War Council has been to condemn these acts and bring them to the attention of the public wherever possible. We will not allow criminals to hide behind our cause. Orders have been issued to our intelligence and security units to track down these individuals and dismantle any networks protecting them, be it La République du Cameroun networks or internal enablers, CPDM functionaries, any network that is protecting them. We call on our communities to be vigilant. Do not pay, shelter, or assist these criminals in any way, shape, or form. You merely draw yourself into the line of fire. Report any information about their whereabouts to our local defense units. But let me say this to the criminals themselves. both in Yelum, in Bamenda, in Momo, these criminal gangs. Leave our territory immediately. We will not allow you to exploit or harm our people. Continue your stay in Ambazonia at your own peril. We are going to track you down wherever you go in Ambazonia because we have our liberation fighters anywhere you think you might hide in. My fellow Ambazonians, I always end my briefing with a call for unity and discipline. We are fighting for liberation, not criminality, not as a joke. It is a liberation that day in, day out, your fellow comrades, some your sisters, cousins, brothers, acquaintances, are dying. Don't treat it as a joke. Don't treat it as an aside. It is one of the most important causes in the history of any human being. We are privileged to be the generation that this cause has been handed to in the life of our nation. It is a privilege, not a burden. It is an honor, not a burden. Our struggle is rooted in justice and self-determination. The Ambazonian War Council will not allow crooks, and our forces on the ground must not allow crooks to corrupt or derail it. That's why I ask every Ambazonian to stand firm. Stand firm with our chain of command, with the organized liberation forces. Support our community defenders. Reject all those who will profit on the suffering of our people. As you hold the line, if you haven't, and today you are deciding to do so, know that you join a community of privileged individuals deciding to accept the tax of the time, willing to write their names in the annals of Ambazonia as those who refuse to go into the night without a fight, as those who will not be intimidated, who will not crumble, who decide to ignite the humanity that every single individual is given by the Maker as a birthright upon birth that no single individual on earth has the right to take. We are who we are we are Ambazonians. We decide to hold the line. And for our forces in serious battle around our territory, especially those who have been battling and dealing blows to La République in Donga, go with the knowledge that we back you to the fullest and will never abandon you. That in us you have an unshakable reservoir of strength to pull from, to demand from, to take comfort in. You are the best of us. You make us proud. Get the colonizers out of our land. May God bless you all. May the gods of Ambazonia march with you from Ma to Takija, from Yelum to Tatu, from Ekiliwindi to Munya. Una place them day.
Hail this land of glory, we the Ambazonian, pledge our loyalty. Praise to our Savior who granted us our freedom. Allegiance to the hero who called the Lord we gather. Glory to glory, we rise and never to fall. Here in a nation, flowing with and holy. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation, a joy forevermore. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty in our need, and your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty in our need, and your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation.